Good morning everybody and happy Thursday. I can't believe we've nearly reached the end of half term and hopefully we will all have a nice restful week off. So I would like to start our assembly today by lighting our candle. If you haven't done so already, try and light your class candle. Got my special Peace Be With You matches today. I'd like to say peace be with you. Thank you. Now we're going to start our assembly a little bit differently today. We're all going to start by singing a song. Now I've got a guest appearance from Mr Smallwood who is going to play for us. Now I know it's a song that you have all sung before and it is one of my favourites. I used to sing it at school and actually it will give you a clue to what my assembly is going to be all about today. So I'm going to be listening in the corridors so I can hear which class is singing the best. What fantastic singing, everybody. It sounded so good from my classroom. I think I could hear every single one of you. So well done. Now, hopefully that's given you a little bit of a clue about what my assembly is about today. It's actually all about my favourite time of year. I've been going out quite a few walks, as I'm sure we all have at the moment, just to get some nice fresh air. And I've noticed so many changes that have been happening in my garden and in my village and at school as well. And they all give me a really nice feeling because I really like this time of year. So I just want you to pause me now and just have a think. What things make it signifies to you, or do you see around you, that show that it's becoming autumn time now? Now, I hope you've had a really good discussion there about what kind of things you might see. And these are some of the things that I have noticed that really make me feel that autumn has arrived. Now, the first thing is conkers. I love going to somewhere called Petworth Park where there's always so many conkers all over the grounds that we can just collect handfuls of them. And my children, although they're starting to get a little bit older now, they still love doing that. The other thing I've noticed lots about at the moment are the squirrels. They're everywhere in my garden, collecting all the nuts and hiding them all away, and they're just so busy making sure that they've got enough food for winter. So I think I notice them much more at this time of year. And then finally, obviously, the colours of the trees. I was driving home the other day and the colours were absolutely beautiful. There was reds, oranges, golds. They just look incredible, and I think it is the prettiest time of year. And I think it's important thinking about this in the fact that these are all changes that are happening around us, and they're things that we can't really stop or prevent from happening. And I'm going to come back to that a bit in a minute, but I first of all want you to watch this story. Now, it's only part of a story, but it's a really nice animated version of it, all about a badger. And the badger is not really great at coping with changes very much. He's a very, very tidy badger, and I think this causes quite a few problems. So enjoy the video and have a think about what the story might be talking about.
Deep in the forest lived a badger called Pete, who tidied and cleaned and kept everything neat. He picked up stray sticks, he swept and he rubbed, he polished the rocks and he scoured and he scrubbed. So when a leaf fell, well, Pete tidied up, but still he wasn't happy. Now the trees looked bare and scrappy, and so to make it all look neat, Pete undertook a mighty feat. He dug up every single tree. But then it rained. There was a flood. And afterwards, a lot of mud. Pete called in the diggers, he called in the mixers, he called in the concrete, the rakers, the fixers. No mud, no leaves, no mess, no trees. Perfectly tidy and perfectly neat. This forest is practically perfect, said Pete. I'm hungry, he thought. I deserve a treat. But the beetles and worms that he usually found were under the concrete, deep in the ground. And so Pete decided to go home instead. But when he arrived and took out his key, there wasn't a door where the door used to be. Later that night, Pete tossed and he turned. His belly was empty, it rumbled and churned. As he lay in his mixer, wide awake, he started to think, I've made a mistake. So, the very next morning, when it got light, he set about trying to put everything right. Then the animals came from the strong to the weak, and they lent him a paw or a claw or a beak. They put everything back as it always had been, but maybe less ordered and not quite as clean. And Pete, well, he promised to tidy up less, but if he succeeded is anyone's guess.
Now, I'd just like you to pause me for a minute just to talk in your classes very quickly about what you think that story was trying to tell us, what message it was trying to give, and maybe think about how the badger might be feeling at different parts of the story. Now, I thought the badger was quite worried about how things were changing. He didn't like it when the leaves started to fall and wanted to keep everything neat and tidy and the same. And I think we can sometimes feel a little bit like that, especially when there are so many changes going on around us, things that we're not quite sure of or maybe feel us a little bit nervous. And I think we need to make sure that actually, a bit like when autumn arrives, new things happen, we can see new things around us. But if we try and look forward and think about the positive things that are happening around us, it will make us feel all a lot happier and more comfortable with how things are going. So next time you're feeling a little bit anxious about maybe something new's happening or something you're not quite sure of, just remember the badger, and thinking about how things change when we move into autumn and different times of year, that changes are good and they can be good, and we need to just have that little bit of bravery. Maybe we might need our friends and family there to help us and support us, but that it will be okay. Now I'd like us to just have a little minute just to think of a little bit more about that, and I'd like to say a prayer. So you might want someone to help join in. I've got the words on the screen there for you. So if you'd like to put your hands together if you wish to, or just look at your candle, just close your eyes so that you're not distracted. Dear God, thank you for the beauty of the different seasons. Thank you for the colours of autumn and the world in which we live. As we think about the changes that are going on around us, please help us to always find reasons to be grateful. Amen. Now have a lovely rest of your Thursday, and I will see you soon.